What if the person you trusted most in the world betrayed you, dragging you deep into the woods, shooting you in the head, and leaving you for dead? What if, against all odds, you woke up in that grave, paralyzed, unable to move, but very much alive? This is the haunting, near-forgotten story of Laura Kucera, a woman who survived a revenge-driven attack that should have claimed her life. A story of unthinkable betrayal, survival, and resilience that challenges everything we know about the strength of the human spirit. This is the story of a young woman who wasn't supposed to survive, but did. Before we dive deeper into Laura's story, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching or reading from today? Drop a comment below and let us know. It's always powerful to see how stories like Laura's resonate with people from all over the world. Laura Kucera was just 19, an athletic, responsible young woman with a bright future ahead of her. A college student from the small, close-knit communities of Wakefield and Norfolk, Nebraska, she was the type of person everyone trusted and relied on. Her days were filled with studying, spending time with family, and engaging in sports. She had a peaceful, family-centered life, and she was well-liked by her peers. In 1994, Laura ended a relationship that had grown toxic, unaware of the danger this decision would soon bring. Her ex-boyfriend, Brian Anderson, couldn't handle the rejection. He had grown obsessed with her, and when Laura took the step of filing a restraining order after his relentless, obsessive attempts to contact her, his rage spiraled into control. Anderson, feeling humiliated and betrayed, turned his anger into a chilling desire for revenge. His plans, which had been simmering for months, would soon reach their tragic climax. For weeks leading up to the attack, Anderson became increasingly fixated on Laura. He bombarded her with phone calls, showed up uninvited at her home, and even spread rumors to others claiming that she had ruined his life. Laura, trying to protect herself, did everything she was supposed to do. She filed a restraining order. She sought help. For her, it was a necessary step toward safety. But to Anderson, it was the ultimate humiliation, one he could not allow to stand. And so, the cycle of rage turned to violence. On the morning of October 1st, 1994, Laura left her home for work. She had no idea that she was stepping into the nightmare that would forever alter the course of her life. As she was driving down a rural highway outside Wakefield, Anderson executed his plan. He forced her car off the road, approached her with a gun, and ordered her out of the vehicle. Witnesses later described seeing Laura through the window of her car, her face a mixture of terror and calm, knowing the gravity of the situation. Anderson then forced her into his vehicle and drove her deep into the wilderness, far from the eyes of the world. Far from help. It was there, in the isolation of the woods, that he carried out his brutal revenge. He shot her once in the head, again in the shoulder, and then in the torso. Each shot meant to ensure her death. Anderson dragged Laura deeper into the brush, abandoning her beneath a pile of leaves and branches. As he walked away, he was certain she had perished. For him, his act of revenge had been completed. But he was wrong. What Anderson didn't know was that Laura, despite her grave injuries, was still alive. Paralyzed from the neck down, bleeding heavily and struggling to breathe, Laura lay on the forest floor, her body broken, but her will to survive unshaken. The pain was unbearable. She couldn't crawl, she couldn't stand, she couldn't even move, but she fought to stay alive. Hours passed, then an entire night, then another. 30 hours after the attack, Laura was still breathing. In that lonely, isolated spot in the woods, Laura faced the unthinkable, her death. But even with her body shattered and her will tested, something deep inside her pushed her to survive. In the stillness of the forest, a small glimmer of hope remained. Her will to live, stronger than any of the pain she was enduring. Meanwhile, Anderson, too, was struggling with his conscience. His guilt began to gnaw at him. The weight of what he had done consumed him to the point that he could no longer live with himself. Unable to cope, he confessed to his brother, hoping that would ease his burden. His brother, horrified by the revelation, immediately contacted law enforcement. Deputies confronted Anderson, and he led them to the site where he believed Laura's body lay buried. He pointed to the spot beneath the leaves and branches and said, "She's right here." When law enforcement uncovered the site, to their shock and disbelief, Laura's eyes opened. Against all odds, she was alive. Laura was airlifted to a hospital in Sioux City where doctors could scarcely believe what they were witnessing. Her survival defied all medical logic. Her chances of survival were so slim that doctors had already prepared her family for the worst. They quickly cautioned her family that she would likely never walk again. But they were wrong. Laura's recovery, though slow and excruciating, was nothing short of extraordinary. Every step she took became more than just a physical achievement. It was a declaration of her will to live. Her body was bruised and broken, but her spirit was unbreakable. Even as she faced overwhelming odds, she refused to give up. Therapists were amazed at her strength as she pushed herself through painful hours of rehab, proving again and again that the human spirit can withstand almost anything. What should have killed her became the catalyst for a recovery that no one thought possible. Brian Anderson was arrested and pled guilty to charges of kidnapping and attempted murder. He was sentenced to between 55 and 60 years in prison. His explanation for the crime was cold and callous: anger, humiliation, and a thirst for revenge. And yet, through it all, Anderson never once showed remorse. The emotional toll of his actions weighed heavily on Laura and her family, and yet they took solace in knowing that her survival had forced accountability. The next year of Laura's life was a quiet, determined effort to rebuild. She returned to work, resumed her studies, and focused on regaining as much of her independence as possible. Every day was a new challenge, and her recovery required a level of determination few could even imagine. Her family said she was determined not to let the attack be the defining moment of her life. But in September of 1995, nearly a year after the attack, fate dealt another devastating blow. While driving on a gravel road with her boyfriend, her car lost control, rolled, and overturned. She died at the scene. Her death, though tragic, was ruled an accident, with no connection to the previous attack or Anderson. Her family lost her twice, first to the violence of Anderson, then to the cruel hand of fate. The road to healing for Laura's family would never be the same again. Her family took comfort in knowing that in the last year of her life, Laura proved her strength. She lived courageously, refusing to let someone else dictate her story. Her survival had forced accountability, and her bravery had secured Anderson's imprisonment. Laura's story, though nearly forgotten, remains a powerful testament to resilience in the face of unspeakable violence. Her journey reminds us that even in our darkest moments, the human spirit is capable of unimaginable strength, pushing us to persevere against the odds. Her survival and defiance in the face of horrific violence are reminders of the importance of hope, resilience, and justice. So what drove Anderson to such violence? Was it pure revenge, control, or something more? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think stronger measures should be in place for restraining orders? How can we better support victims of stalking and domestic violence? Drop a comment below to join the conversation. Your thoughts matter, and sharing them can help bring more awareness to issues that need our attention. If you found Laura's story moving, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected. Let's keep telling these stories to ensure that they're never forgotten. In memory of Laura Kucera.